5 life lessons from a 71-year-old woman and her 56-year-old boyfriend, still going strong after 10 years. What if I told you that some of the most beautiful love stories begin when traditional society thinks they should be ending? Today, I'm sharing 5 powerful life lessons from Margaret and Jeff's relationship, insights that could transform how you think about age, love, and what's possible in your later years. Meet Margaret and Jeff. She's 71, he's 56, and they've been together for 10 incredible years. When they first met, she was 61 and he was 46. By conventional standards, their 15-year age gap should have been a problem. But here's what they discovered. Age differences matter far less when you're older, wiser, and know exactly what you want from life. Their story challenges everything we've been told about age-appropriate relationships, about what love should look like in your 60s and 70s, and about whether significant age gaps can work when you're past the traditional dating years. But this isn't just a feel-good romance story. Margaret and Jeff's decade together has taught them and can teach us profound lessons about love, compatibility, resilience, and what really matters when building a life with someone. They've navigated health challenges, family dynamics, loss, and the unique realities of loving someone from a different generation. If you believe that love doesn't follow society's timeline, that connection matters more than chronology, and that wisdom can come from the most unexpected relationships, hit that subscribe button right now. We're building a community of people who understand that the heart doesn't check your birth certificate before falling in love. Let me tell you how this unconventional love story began. Margaret was 61, recently single, and honestly not looking for anything serious. Jeff was 46, at a different life stage, but something about their connection transcended the numbers on their driver's licenses. When we met, those 15 years didn't seem to make a difference then, nor do they now, Margaret reflects. We have so many things in common. We love having conversations, but we can also be silent in the family room for hours, just enjoying each other's company, knowing we are there with each other. This isn't a relationship built on trying to bridge generational gaps or overlooking obvious incompatibilities. Instead, it's founded on the discovery that shared values, interests, and emotional compatibility matter infinitely more than shared birth years. They love the same music, share the same faith as Catholics, enjoy the same foods, and are both homebodies who prefer quiet evenings together to nights out on the town. They read similar materials, watch similar TV shows and movies, and have found in each other not just a romantic partner, but a true companion. But their story isn't without challenges. Recently, Jeff lost his best friend and soul brother, Greg, to cancer, gone within just 4 months of diagnosis. This devastating loss revealed something beautiful about their relationship. Margaret had become Jeff's primary source of emotional support, the person he leaned on during his darkest moments. He says that I am the only one left in his life, and he leans on me for emotional support, Margaret shares. This isn't codependency. It's the deep interdependence that comes from a truly committed partnership. Now, 10 years in, they're 71 and 56, and their bond has only strengthened. They've proven that when two people are truly compatible, age becomes just a number, a piece of biographical information that has no bearing on the depth of their connection. Lesson number 1. Compatibility trumps chronology. The most powerful lesson from Margaret and Jeff's relationship is this. True compatibility has nothing to do with when you were born, and everything to do with how you connect in the present moment. Society has trained us to think in terms of age-appropriate relationships, as if the year someone was born determines whether you can build a meaningful life together. But Margaret and Jeff discovered something profound. Shared values, interests, and life approaches matter infinitely more than shared cultural references from your teenage years. Think about what actually makes relationships work. Do you enjoy each other's company? Do you share fundamental values? Are you compatible in your daily rhythms and preferences? Do you support each other through challenges? Can you communicate effectively? Do you make each other laugh? None of these crucial compatibility factors have expiration dates or age requirements. Margaret didn't stop being intelligent, funny, or loving when she turned 60. Jeff didn't become less caring, interesting, or attractive because he was 15 years younger. Their individual qualities existed independent of their ages. Quote, "We enjoy the same foods. We are homebodies. We read similar materials and watch similar TV and movies," unquote, Margaret explains. These lifestyle compatibilities, the daily rhythms that actually determine whether you can build a happy life together, don't correlate with age. In fact, there's something liberating about age gap relationships later in life. You're both past the stage where you're trying to impress others or live up to external expectations. You can focus purely on whether this person enhances your life and whether you enhance theirs. Margaret learned crossword puzzles from Jeff, something she initially hated, but came to master, significantly improving her vocabulary and self-confidence. This is what real partnership looks like. Two people helping each other grow, regardless of who happens to be older. The lesson here extends beyond romantic relationships. How often do we limit ourselves based on arbitrary age assumptions? How many friendships, mentorships, or collaborations do we miss because we think there's a proper age range for meaningful connections? When you're older and wiser, you realize that some of your best relationships might be with people who are significantly older or younger than you. What matters is the quality of connection, not the mathematics of birth years. Lesson number 2. Shared values matter more than shared history. One of the most beautiful aspects of Margaret and Jeff's relationship is how they've built something meaningful without needing to share the same generational experiences or cultural touchstones. They're both Catholic, which gives them a shared spiritual foundation. They're both homebodies who prefer intimate evenings together to social events. They both value deep conversation and comfortable silence in equal measure. These shared values and preferences create the foundation of their daily life together. This challenges the assumption that successful relationships require shared history or similar life experiences. Yes, Margaret lived through different decades as a young adult than Jeff did. Yes, they came of age during different cultural moments, but none of that prevented them from building shared experiences in the present. When you're younger, you might think you need someone who remembers the same TV shows, went to similar schools, or experienced the same historical events during their formative years. But Margaret and Jeff prove that shared values in the present are more important than shared memories from the past. Their Catholic faith doesn't just mean they share religious beliefs. It means they share approaches to morality, community, and life's deeper questions. Their preference for home-based activities means they're both content with quiet, intimate lifestyles rather than constantly seeking external stimulation. This compatibility in fundamental life approach matters more than whether they both remember where they were when Kennedy was shot or when the Berlin Wall fell. They're building new memories together based on who they are now, not who they were decades ago. The lesson for anyone considering relationships later in life: don't automatically rule out someone because they're significantly older or younger. Instead, focus on whether you share the values and lifestyle preferences that actually determine day-to-day compatibility.
Look for alignment in the things that matter. How do you each approach conflict? What do you value in friendships? How do you handle stress? What brings you joy? What do you consider important in life? These compatibility factors have nothing to do with age and everything to do with character and life philosophy. Lesson number 3. Emotional support transcends age. Perhaps the most profound lesson from Margaret and Jeff's relationship emerged during their most difficult period, when Jeff lost his beloved brother Greg to cancer. Jeff is so devastated over losing Greg. He says that I am the only one left in his life, and he leans on me for emotional support, Margaret shares. This moment revealed something beautiful about mature love, the capacity to be truly there for each other when life becomes overwhelming. Jeff's adult children are busy with their own lives and families. His other brothers don't fully understand the severity of his health challenges with rheumatoid arthritis, days when his joints lock up and he can't get out of bed, when his hands are too swollen to open. As Margaret observes, unless you really know a person and have lived with them, even if you are actual family, you don't know a person as much as you think. But Margaret knows. She sees the daily reality of his struggles, understands the depth of his loss, and has become his primary source of emotional support. This isn't because she's exceptionally nurturing or because their age gap creates some kind of maternal dynamic. It's because they've built the deep intimacy that allows one person to truly hold space for another's pain. This kind of emotional support doesn't require shared generational experiences or similar life stages. It requires presence, understanding, and the willingness to show up consistently when someone you love is struggling. In many ways, their age difference might actually be an asset here. Margaret brings the wisdom and emotional stability that comes from having lived longer, while Jeff brings the energy and optimism that can come from being in a different life stage. Together, they create a balance that serves them both. The lesson extends far beyond their relationship. Emotional support and deep companionship aren't age-dependent. The capacity to comfort, understand, and be present for someone else is a human quality that doesn't diminish or change based on age differences. When you're considering relationships later in life, don't underestimate the power of emotional compatibility and the willingness to truly show up for each other. These qualities can exist between people of any ages and often matter more than surface-level similarities. Lesson number 4. Humor and perspective are ageless. One of the most delightful aspects of Margaret and Jeff's story is their ability to find humor even in situations that highlight their age difference. Recently, at Greg's memorial service, someone asked if Margaret was Jeff's younger sister. That came as a shock to us, Margaret laughs. He said he wasn't sure if that was a compliment to me, how I looked, or a slam to him, looking like an old man. We laughed about it. This moment beautifully illustrates their mature approach to their age gap. Instead of being offended, embarrassed, or defensive, they found it genuinely funny. They could laugh together about the assumptions people make and the awkwardness that sometimes comes with their unconventional pairing. This kind of humor requires perspective, the ability to step back from social expectations and see the absurdity in other people's assumptions about your relationship. It requires security in your connection and confidence that what matters is how you feel about each other, not how others perceive your pairing. Their laughter also reveals something important about aging well. The ability to find joy and humor even when facing the realities of getting older. Jeff might be dealing with serious health challenges. Margaret might be navigating the social assumptions that come with dating a younger man, but they're choosing to approach these challenges with lightness when possible. This doesn't mean they're not taking serious things seriously. Jeff's grief over losing Greg and his health struggles are very real. but it means they're not letting external judgments or internal worries rob them of the joy they find in each other's company. The lesson here is profound. Humor and perspective are some of the best tools we have for navigating the complexities of relationships and aging. When you can laugh together about the awkward moments, the social assumptions, and even some of the challenges, you're building resilience into your relationship. Age gap relationships, like any unconventional choice, will sometimes provoke comments or assumptions from others. Having a partner who can find humor in these moments, rather than defensiveness or shame, makes all the difference.
Lesson number 5. Love finds its own timeline. The overarching lesson from Margaret and Jeff's decade together is perhaps the most liberating. Love operates on its own timeline, completely independent of society's schedule for when relationships should begin, how they should look, or what age differences are appropriate. Margaret was 61 when she met Jeff, an age when many people assume the romantic chapter of life is closing. Jeff was 46, theoretically in his prime dating years, but choosing to build something meaningful with someone 15 years older. Neither of them followed the conventional script, and both of them found something more fulfilling than they might have found by staying within age-appropriate boundaries. Now, at 71 and 56, they're not apologizing for their choices or trying to justify their connection to anyone else. They've proven to themselves and anyone paying attention that meaningful relationships can begin at any age and take any form that works for the people involved. Age doesn't make any difference when you are adults, Margaret declares, and she's backed up this statement with a decade of living proof. Their relationship challenges several assumptions we make about love and aging: that older women are less desirable, that younger men aren't interested in long-term relationships with older women, that significant age gaps inevitably create insurmountable problems, that romance becomes less important as we age. Margaret and Jeff prove that none of these assumptions are necessarily true. Their connection is based on genuine compatibility, mutual support, shared values, and deep affection, all the elements that make any relationship work, regardless of the ages involved. Perhaps most importantly, they show us that it's never too late to find meaningful love, and never wrong to be open to connections that don't fit conventional expectations. Love finds its own way, its own timing, and its own perfect expression in each unique pairing. The lesson for anyone navigating relationships later in life: trust your own experience over society's expectations. If you find genuine connection, compatibility, and happiness with someone, the numbers on your respective birth certificates are far less important than the joy you bring to each other's lives. Margaret and Jeff's 10-year love story offers us something precious: proof that meaningful relationships can begin at any age, take any form, and thrive despite, or perhaps because of, their unconventional nature. Their 5 key lessons reshape how we think about love after 50. Compatibility matters more than chronology. Shared values trump shared history. Emotional support transcends age. Humor and perspective are ageless, and love finds its own timeline. But perhaps their most important gift to us is the example of their courage. It takes courage to pursue a relationship that others might question or judge. It takes courage to prioritize your own happiness over social expectations. It takes courage to remain open to love when conventional wisdom suggests you should be settling into solitude. Margaret could have decided she was too old to start a serious relationship at 61. Jeff could have assumed he should be dating women closer to his own age. Either choice would have been socially acceptable, and either choice would have deprived them both of a decade of joy, growth,
and deep companionship. Instead, they chose to trust their connection over convention, their compatibility over chronology, their genuine feelings over other people's potential judgments. The result is a relationship that has not only survived but thrived through health challenges, family losses, and the natural changes that come with aging. Their story reminds us that some of life's greatest gifts come in unexpected packages and at unexpected times. The love that finds you at 61 might be deeper and more meaningful than anything you experienced in your 20s or 30s. The person who's wrong on paper might be perfectly right in reality. As Margaret puts it so beautifully, age doesn't make any difference when you are adults. This simple statement contains profound wisdom. Once you're mature enough to know who you are and what you want, the superficial markers that divide us become far less important than the human qualities that unite us. For anyone who's been told they're too old for romance, that they should lower their expectations, or that meaningful relationships are for younger people, Margaret and Jeff offer a different narrative. They show us that love doesn't have an expiration date, that compatibility can exist across generations, and that some of the most beautiful relationships bloom when we least expect them. Thank you for watching this celebration of unconventional love and timeless wisdom. If Margaret and Jeff's story inspired you, if it challenged your assumptions about age and relationships, or if it gave you hope for your own romantic future, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're building a community of people who believe that love comes in all forms, at all ages, and often in the most beautifully unexpected ways. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Have you experienced or witnessed a relationship that challenged age-related assumptions? What did you learn from Margaret and Jeff's story? Subscribe for more real stories about love, life, and the courage to follow your heart regardless of what others might think. I'll see you in the next video where we'll continue exploring what it means to live authentically and love boldly at every stage of life. Because as Margaret and Jeff prove so beautifully, when it comes to matters of the heart, age really is just a number, and love truly does find its own perfect timing.